In Activity 7, Precipitation, students learn how the water in clouds falls to Earth as precipitation. Students first discover where rain and snow come from, then make a rain gauge and use it to measure rainfall, and finally discuss the characteristics of snowflakes. You will need the following materials from the kit: Activity Sheet 7, dual scale thermometer, clear plastic jars, rulers, snowflake pattern, roll of string, and a roll of masking tape. You will also need to provide pairs of scissors, permanent marker, and a roll of transparent tape. To prepare for Session 1, make a copy of Activity Sheet 7 for each student. Make sure to begin Session 1 on a rainy day. Each student will need a thermometer, and each team of 2 will need a clear plastic jar, a ruler, and a piece of masking tape. To begin Session 1, encourage students to recall from Activity 6 that the water in clouds is formed from ocean, lake, and river water. Ask students, does this water ever return to the oceans, lakes, and rivers? Help students understand that water is returned to oceans, lakes, and rivers when it rains. Then, discuss the benefits of rain, such as watering plants and providing people and animals with drinking water. Inform students that all living things need water to survive. Next, ask students to think of all the different types of weather they have experienced, and to describe what, if anything, fell from the sky. Some students may mention rain and snow, sleet, or hail. Explain that precipitation is liquid or solid water that falls to Earth. Ask students, which of these 4 types of precipitation is liquid? Which are solid? Students should identify rain as liquid and snow and hail, or solid ice pellets, as solid. Introduce the term sleet as partially frozen rain, a slushy mixture that is part liquid and part solid. Next, ask students if they have ever seen it rain when there were no clouds in the sky. Inform the class that even during sun showers, there are some clouds in the sky. Then ask, what does this tell you about where rain comes from? Help students realize that rain falls from the clouds. Remind students that clouds are made up of cooled water vapor, or very tiny drops of water, and explain that these tiny droplets of water combine to form bigger drops. When the drops of water become large and heavy enough, they fall out of the clouds and to the ground as raindrops. Next, introduce a rain gauge, an instrument that measures the amount of rain that falls at a certain place over a period of time, an hour or a day, for example. Then, hand out a copy of Activity Sheet 7 and a thermometer to each student, and distribute a clear plastic jar, a ruler, and a piece of masking tape to each team of 2. Instruct students to put their names on the bottom of the jars using tape and permanent marker, and then, using a ruler, label inches and half inches on the outside of the jar. Bring students outdoors and tell them to set up their gauges in an open area, away from trees and buildings. On each day for 5 days, at approximately the same time, have the teams measure the amount of rainwater that is collected in their jars and record the information on the activity sheet. In addition, students should record the air temperature. Then, have students empty and dry out their jars after each measurement. Finally, collect the thermometers and store them between readings. To prepare for Session 2, make a copy of the snowflake pattern, front and back, for each student. Then, cut a 60-centimeter piece of string for each student. Each student will need a pair of scissors, a piece of string, a piece of transparent tape, and their copy of Activity Sheet 7. Have students begin Session 2 after taking their final measurements. To begin Session 2, instruct students to compare their rainfall measurements and answer questions 1 through 4 at the bottom of their activity sheets. Students should then review the temperatures they recorded. Ask students, what was the temperature outdoors when it rained? Students should respond that the temperature varied, but was never below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Then ask, what is the temperature like outdoors when it snows? Students should understand that the temperature is cold. Water freezes to become snow or ice at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, or 0 degrees Celsius. Ask students, what does this tell you about what snow is made of? Explain that, like rain, snow starts out as water vapor in the air, and that snow forms when the water droplets in the clouds freeze to create ice crystals. Then ask, what do you think happens to the ice crystals next? Help students understand that just as water droplets combine to form bigger drops, the ice crystals become coated with more ice and combine with other crystals to form snowflakes. When the flakes become heavy enough, they fall to Earth's surface and remain frozen as long as the temperature of the air stays below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, distribute a copy of the 2-page snowflake pattern and a pair of scissors to each student. Review the directions on the sheet, and then tell students to fold and cut the paper as indicated in the directions. Help students understand that just like their paper snowflakes, real snowflakes are usually 6-sided and that no 2 flakes are alike. Then, distribute a length of string and a piece of tape to each student and instruct students to tape their string to their snowflakes and write their names on one side of their snowflakes. Suspend the snowflakes from the classroom ceiling. You can also tape them to the classroom windows or use them to decorate the classroom walls. Finally, inform students that in the next 3 activities, they're going to learn about some types of severe weather. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science Reader, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.